Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio. Ours is a place where dreams take flight, voices are heard, and stories are shared. This is where cultures meet, connections are formed, and ideas are transformed into action. This is your destination for authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations. We're where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover our world of education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our USA Global TV channel and download our USA Global TV app. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. With heartfelt thanks to our executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, music scored by Yifei Tang from Cloud Road Music, creative direction by Paul Garcia, and I'm Al Cini, and I'm very proud to be part of the USA Global TV and Radio family. So join us here at USA Global TV and Radio. Make us your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Thank you for being a part of our global community. Let's inspire together.
Good afternoon, everyone, and happy Monday. I am Julie Ann Mejia, and you're watching episode 16 of The Holistic Alternative. Today, I'm honored to welcome a trailblazing woman whose leadership has shaped the financial and operational future of the cannabis industry, and whose presence continues to inspire trust, innovation, and integrity in an often overlooked area of business. She is a seasoned financial executive with decades of banking experience and currently serves as the president at Lighthouse Biz Solutions, a groundbreaking financial institution dedicated to serving high-risk businesses. Her commitment to empowering licensed operators and ensuring safe, sustainable pathways to banking is opening doors across the country and reshaping what's possible in our industry. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome Melissa Miranda to the show. Melissa, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. It's an honor and a privilege to host you. And I am so excited to hear your background and share with the guests. How did you get into a niche banking situation in regards to high-risk businesses?
Sure. Well, I'll start with the history of Lighthouse itself. We are a wholly owned subsidiary of GFA Federal Credit Union located here in Massachusetts, which was founded well over, I think, in the late 1800s. And we were obviously in the state of Massachusetts, had a ballot question come up about the legalization of cannabis, and lo and behold, it passed. And as we were sitting on the sidelines watching how the state was going to roll this out, we had another banking institution that had been in the space banking medicinal, because medicinal was legal here in Massachusetts prior to adult use. But as adult use came on board, they decided that they were not going to bank that space, and therefore left a gaping hole in our local banking industry as to how we were going to take this new fledgling adult use market and bring it safely online here in Massachusetts. Because as we know, it is federally illegal, which meant that and Visa, MasterCard will not, allow transactions to be done through their cards. So that meant that this was going to be solely cash business. And so wherever there's cash, those of us who have been in the banking industry for quite a while understand that where there's cash, there's danger, there's weapons, and it makes all of our local communities more at risk for violence. And so the board of trustees at GFA Federal Credit Union at the time, their CEO, Tina Sprague, came to them and said, we are here, our charter and our mission is to really provide safe banking and help make our communities safe. And this fits right directly smack in the middle of our mission. And what do you think about banking this space? And after a few chuckles in the boardroom, because at first they thought she was joking, they realized she was serious and said, yeah, let's explore this further. And so they really did. She and her team did a deep dive into what it would take to bank this. They even went out to Colorado, where it had been live and legal already. There were a couple banking institutions banking it out there. They learned how they were handling it because, of course, with the federal legality, really, you know, no one had really done this before. So people were afraid they'd be going to jail any minute, and that really was the case in the early days. And so after, doing a lot of research and soul searching, they decided to create Lighthouse Biz Solutions for the sole purpose of banking high risk, uh, what is now all high risk types of businesses, but really focused on cannabis, hemp, CBD, all of the cannabis derived products. And so here we are, fast forward to 2025. And I took over as president of Lighthouse from Tina Sprague back in 2023. Can't believe it's going to be almost 3 years already. But now we bank cannabis across the country wherever it is legal. And we're excited to be in the space, and we have amazing clients and just really love the excitement. I'm not sure what that says about me as leader of this institution, but it's always different every day, and you've got to be nimble.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I just want to thank you as well. I am a client of this beautiful institution. It's been night and day comparative to other institutions. So I thank you for the work that you're doing. It's very important. Um, it's concerning. It's concerning that, we have the hemp farm bill in place. It's supposed to take care of some of these challenges, particularly around the financial institutions. And we haven't seen that yet.
No.
What are your thoughts on why other institutions might not be as capable as handling some of these cases and clients as you guys are?
Well, I think a portion of it, the answer to that question is complicated. There's many answers, and I could go on for days here about that. But anyway, I'll kind of simplify it. I think you heard me say GFA made the decision to create a wholly owned subsidiary, do this business solely, completely contained in a totally separate entity. So what that means is that I have a totally dedicated team specifically dedicated to this industry. So what that means is we are constantly watching all of the legislation that's going on out there, not only at the federal level, but right down to all the state levels. It's a very complicated business. It's very time consuming. This is really what we like to call compliance on steroids, right? This isn't typically typical Bank Secrecy Act compliance. This is a very niche, highly specified type of compliance that, when you're calling Lighthouse and you're having someone asking someone a question about your bank account, you're not getting whomever picks up the phone and maybe they know something about the industry, maybe they don't. They've got, 100,000 other clients that are non-cannabis, non-hemp, non-CBD. And the minute they hear cannabis, they freeze and they're like, oh my goodness, I don't know how to answer your question. Whereas you get my team, they automatically know how to help you. They will take the problem from you and solve it start to finish. But, you know, kudos to my predecessors who chose to make that significant investment. Recently, and here in Massachusetts, throughout the country, we often hear, and Julie, you kind of hinted to it, you were a client at another banking institution who chose to no longer support your business. Um, and that's good and that's bad, right? It's bad for you because it disrupts your business. Now, all of a sudden, you've got to pivot pretty quickly, try to find a bank account so as not to delay any payments, any service to your clients, and have the least amount of impact on your business as you possibly can. But I also want to applaud those banking institutions who maybe came into it in the early days, not really fully aware of how expensive it was going to be to bank this space, or maybe thought that yes, it would be expensive at the beginning, but we'll mitigate those costs because, oh, it's the early days. We're going to have federal legality within 3 or 4 years, right? Regulators are going to reduce their what they want us to get and gather from our clients in order to know that we truly are banking the space appropriately, that we are representing to them that they're not laundering money through our banking institutions, right? So they had a very different, probably pro forma on their business plan than what is really played out. And as they're in business as well, and margins in banking, like everything else, are pretty tight. And so their boards are making the decision that, geez, maybe this isn't our niche. This we're putting not only the bank at risk because we're not doing this um, with a level of confidence that our regulators are happy with, and if that's the case, then we're also putting the businesses that we're banking, we're putting them at risk because there's a greater chance that we make a mistake. And therefore, if we get in trouble, guess what? So are our clients, and we're putting you and your business, your licenses, if it's a licensed business, at risk. And, so kudos to them for making the tough decision, because I know some of my colleagues who have been in those situations, but they're making the tough decision and they're deciding, hey, this isn't what we should be doing. Let's refer people over to people like, Melissa and Lighthouse, who really embrace this business and are dedicated to the business, and we know have a solid program. So we do get other institutions that have made that tough decision refer their clients over to us, and for that we're grateful. And so we're just always excited to welcome new clients and help you grow your business or move your business in a direction, whatever way we can help you do that. We love to do that.
No, I think you stated that perfectly, and I think as an industry leader, it's a deep concern to see so many institutions all of a sudden dropping clients. So for me, we have a lot of people on the back end watching the legislation. What we're hearing from Washington is some of these institutions are dropping clients preemptively about a possibility of what might be coming down the pipeline. I'm not sure if you can possibly speak a little bit onto that subject matter, but I think this is not just a local issue. I've referred other people to you guys from Maine and different places throughout the country. I think this is a wider issue that's now transpiring recently over the past 6 months.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're specifically referencing what might or might not happen with the
Right.
Farm Bill, right? My background's actually in the law. I have a law degree, although I don't practice, um, which helps, I think, in a lot of ways, not only business wise, but helps me to be a little more relaxed in the space. And I never, I watch all the bantering, right? What
Yeah.
goes on in DC and what might happen with the Farm Bill, what might not happen with the Farm Bill. And it's always been my stance of we'll wait and see what final legislation comes down, if any, and we will adjust appropriately to make sure that we're keeping both the banking institution and our clients compliant, right? However, again, for some of the same reasons that I spoke about just a few moments ago, you have banking institutions that are like, oh my goodness, this is, not, what we do every single day. I can't keep track of what's going on. Oh my goodness, will we all of a sudden wake up one morning in November and find ourselves out of compliance? And how do we handle that? And how much money is it going to cost us to do that? And oh my goodness, they just decide that it's just they're not dedicated, they're not constantly watching it, and they're afraid that all of a sudden one morning they're going to wake up and them and their clients are going to be non-compliant, right? And so they're making those decisions proactively, I guess, to decide they're not going to bank the space. Personally, we're more than happy to bank the space, and I don't make knee-jerk reactions based on the latest news clip or hint that comes out of a committee in DC, because this too, wait a minute, and this too shall change, right? And so we do watch it. We take it very, very seriously. And, but in the backside of my house, we're always like, okay, we want to be ready and we want to be prepared. And this is where you see how time consuming this becomes, right? Because I don't want to make it seem like it's pretty simple and they're making silly decisions. They're not. My team already is like, okay, should this happen, we got plan A, B, C, and D already in line, ready to go, right? If this happens, we're going in a whole different direction, right? We're already putting together the infrastructure and whatever we need to make sure we get the communications out to you and your team, and any documentation we'll need to have you update or whatever in place so that whenever that new legislation becomes effective, we can make sure that we're ready and ready to have you be compliant as well, right? So there's a lot going on behind the scenes, but it takes a lot of time, effort, energy, and quite frankly, resources to be able to make sure that you remain compliant in this space. And so I think that's triggering a lot of, banking institutions across the country to make these decisions, because it's not just here in Massachusetts, Maine, Vermont. It's all across the country that we are seeing this happening. And again, we're proud and happy to be able to step up and say we can help you no matter where you're situated. So please reach out.
No, I agree. I think that's amazing. And I think preemptively, a lot of people pull the trigger on stuff that never comes to fruition. So I think they do stuff a disservice, especially for their clients in that regard, and handling banking like that, especially with an evolving industry like ours, which is a newer industry from a legislation point. But I think, again, you just bring back the point. You guys are fully equipped to deal with any changes that may come. It's the niche market, and you're fully prepared to service this market in a deeper capacity than other institutions might be able to. So I commend you guys for everything you've built. And again, like I stated, it's been night and day personal experience. It's like having a personal banker. I have someone to call, and it's professionally managed, and I'm not concerned that I'm going to get shut down for a possibility for a rumor in DC. So I thank you again for that and for explaining it in a more comprehensive manner. So thank you.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head when you said, I feel like I have a personal banker. You do have a personal banker, and that is by design. Again, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but there's a whole other piece to this too, where fraud is very much a concern, especially with our cannabis, hemp, CBD accounts. They are targets. And that having that personal banker is great for you as a business owner. It's also yet another security point for the banking institution because that personal banker often gets to know you well, gets to know how you and your team manage your business, how your money flows in and out of your accounts. So now, if all of a sudden something seems a little out of sync, um, they're going to pick up the phone and call you. Many times, my team has been able to head off a fraud being perpetrated on an account, whether it be check fraud. We had a check that, a signature didn't look quite right, and they were used to seeing that CEO signature. They picked up the phone, said, wanted to ask you about this check, and lo and behold, it was somebody had gotten a hold of checks and was perpetrating a fraud. Saved that account tens of thousands of dollars, right? Um, so that is another benefit of having that personal banker. Another one, we had an email fraud actually being perpetrated on one of our clients, and an invoice had come through to that client for a payment. And my team took a look at it. It seemed like the timing of that invoice coming through seemed a little off cycle, and again reached out actually two times because the person trying to push the wire through was insistent it was legitimate, and my team actually insisted that they contact the vendor because something didn't seem right. And lo and behold, the vendor's email had been hacked and the invoice was not legitimate. And, can we prevent 100% of it? Absolutely not. They get more and more sophisticated every minute. But by having that dedicated eye on your account, um, is quite beneficial. I know that sometimes we seem a little too intrusive. This is not, as much as we like to pretend that banking a high risk industry is just like any other bank account. It certainly isn't on the backside. Our cannabis accounts, if they're looking to pay an invoice, we've got to have a copy of that invoice before we let the money go through. Hence, we were able to save that client a lot of money because we did look at that invoice and something seemed to miss. So I don't know, I digress maybe, but
No, these are great,
uh,
instances because again, the goal here today is to inform people of your entity, of you, and of your team. And, again, people are allowing themselves to learn more about, what you do personally. So I think these examples are great because I know so many people in our space that have had different issues or different things. Even my colleague, a close colleague of mine who was banking with another institution, lost over $100,000 from
yes.
miscellaneous stuff that wasn't caught correctly. So this just answers and continues with my question. How do you guys differentiate? And you're sharing that, so thank you.
Yes, yes. We differentiate ourselves, so like I said, on a lot of different levels. Having that dedicated team. I mean, my whole team is a team of high-end compliance specialists. Um, and that personal touch, getting to know you and getting to know your business is critical. And just really also in a way being your mini business partner because we like to call it, we put together early on our own little ecosystem for our clients because we learned early on in the space that some people were coming into this space because they thought, oh, it's the green rush, we're going to make some quick money and get out, and they weren't really committed to being in it for the long haul. And we're really kind of taking advantage of some of our clients. So we realized that we were in a unique position to be able to, identify some good business partners for our clients, whether it be from, trying to source some lighting or payment processing or HR, you know, partners or CPAs, right? Um, to have those dedicated to the space who understand the space, right? Those CPAs are critical, especially in this ever-changing landscape. Um, when we make the recommendation to you, you also know they've been vetted by us, and then sometimes we can help negotiate a good guy, right, too.
No, that's great. No, thank you for sharing that. And so, say somebody else is listening that wouldn't be typically considered a high risk business, but wanted a more personalized banking experience, that they're sick of being a number in, a system that just gets pushed around. Are you able to cater to traditional businesses as well?
We tend to focus mostly on the high risk businesses. That's not to say that we wouldn't consider it, but it's not really our niche.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
No, that's great. So, what other industries do you work with? I know you and I have talked privately about this, but I'm sure people would love to hear because this is a global show, and I know you guys are branching globally as well, so we can get into that as well.
sure. So not only we do the cannabis, hemp, CBD, um, we will bank all of those ancillary businesses, meaning, anybody who supplies services to those businesses, because they often find that the minute they get a check from one of your businesses, somebody will see the word hemp in your check or your tagline or cannabis or CBD, and next thing they know, their bank account is being shut down. So we bank. So when you say traditional businesses, yes, we do bank them, and they often come in the way of what we consider an ancillary route to us. We also bank all of your employees. And so many of them have trouble getting regular traditional banking services, mortgage, car loans, bank accounts, again, because that paycheck comes into their bank account. And next thing you know, their accounts are being shut down. And so we bank all of them, and we provide all of the traditional loans for them as well. So we're more than happy to do that. We're also branching out into other high risk industries, such as the payment space, um, and other industries that might come along. We've had other outreach from other, you know, uh, entities like nutraceuticals, things like that. Those are all things that, we're kind of considering as we move through the need for high risk banking services.
So, I have to ask, from a legality perspective, especially with your legal background, how is this legal for some of these entities to discriminate against a business type? It doesn't make sense to me how this is able to be a thing so regularly that, the niche market or what's considered a high risk entity essentially gets discriminated. They get looked at more finite, from a perspective of another business. How is that legal? Do businesses like ours have any type of legal support in regards to just being dismissed because we're high risk?
Um, I don't think it's really, well, it probably is a bit of a legal question, but it's more of what is the banking institution? What is their actual capabilities, right? From a legal perspective for them, it's smart for them to say, hey, we're not going to do this because we're really not qualified to make sure that we keep ourselves and you out of trouble. It's not just a lot of people think, oh, it's just cannabis and it's just hemp. And it's really not just that. Many banking institutions do not bank gaming businesses. They won't bank casinos. They won't bank money service businesses. They won't bank, any of those high cash intensive businesses, because along with those businesses comes a whole different degree of compliance. And their compliance teams are already taxed, and they're not necessarily set up to be able to provide that level of oversight that the federal regulators require the banking, and state regulators require the banking institutions to actually have over those types of businesses, because those are the businesses that are more likely to um, either overtly or inadvertently find themselves laundering money, right? So you need a very highly trained compliance team to be able to identify, a business might accidentally find itself um, being party to a money laundering situation, just because they let the wrong investor in the door, didn't do the right background checks, right? I have actually um, been involved in something like that, where we were able to protect one of our cannabis businesses because they were looking for investors to open a store, and unfortunately, when we started doing the backgrounds on the investors, we found that probably not the best idea to. I know the money was nice, but yeah, I don't like wearing the color orange 365 days a year.
I don't blame you at all. So I think that's great. That's another level of support that you can offer the community. And again, the support is needed because there are a lot of snakes out there, especially to your point. They consider this a newer industry, the Wild West. It's still developing. I'm going to make money quick and get out. And they do, they take advantage. I've seen it, as an industry leader. It's a shame. So I thank you for that level of expertise and support for not only myself, but other members of the community. And to your point, what are some of those factors um, if people are looking to raise capital? Because I hear this question a lot as an industry leader. What are some of those things that, individuals can do to start vetting, their possible investor or partnerships? Do you guys have a team there that does a vetting process or assist with that? Can you explain a little bit more about that concept?
Well, typically, when the investors get to us, it is either the individual business or a consultant that they're working with, who will start the initial vetting of the investors. But then the final piece, the minute they come to us, tell us they have investment money they'd like to bring in, we need to know everything there is to know about those investors. So then my team goes to work, and we start putting them through our background checks as well, um, to make sure that everything is legit. So I think by the time, we're the final say. So we do have a whole team that does do that vetting. And sometimes we're the first vetting of those investors. Sometimes we might be the second vetting, based on if they're working with a consultant or they do some of their own vetting. But we will do that final vetting to make sure that, we know who we're dealing with, who we're doing business with, and that those monies are clean.
Right. And I'm sure to a next level point, you guys have to make sure that, first of all, you're advising the client correctly too from a legislative point in the Commonwealth, correct? You have to deal with that as well.
Well, it depends on what state we're dealing with. We'll be taking into account the laws of the state in which that client is working in. So we have to make sure that, we match everything up to the state that they're licensed, if they are licensed, they need to comply with.
No, that's great. I think those are all helpful pieces because, again, as people are building their businesses, they do need this type of support. And I think,
Mhm.
to your point, again, generalized banking institutions, it's not a good fit for such a
No.
niche marketed business. So I thank you again for everything that you're doing for the community. Are there any other points that you would like to bring up? We're less than 10 minutes. I know it flew by this segment. I would love to hear any other thoughts that you would like to tell people that are listening, that are in need of support, that are keeping money at home because they're so fed up with the institutions. What can you tell people that are watching today that really need this type of support? What can you share with us today for them?
Well, I hope that they will reach out. I think they're going to put up all of my contact information at the end of this segment. There are others out there that do this well, but I like to think that we are really the premier ones. But anyway, we really can make setting up a bank account and getting you all of the traditional things that you're looking for, you know, checks, corporate debit cards, the things that you need to make your business run smoothly, have a dedicated team, get your questions answered in a timely manner. My team has a goal. They're going to get back to you within a 2-hour time frame with any questions you may have. And if for some reason they can't solve it within that 2 hours, they're going to at least get back to you and give you an update as to where they're at with your solution, and give you a real timeline for when they'll get back to you. And so, we just love banking all of our hemp, CBD, cannabis clients, high-risk clients. And, we can bank not only your business, but your employees as well. And if it's something that we can't help you with, we'll certainly go out and try to find someone who can help you solve your issue. So we really are here to be your partner and to enable you to stay focused on your business and let the financial challenges that you face on a day-to-day basis be our issue to solve.
Perfectly put. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything. And I think if we're watching internationally, please reach out to Melissa as well. I know you guys are expanding, correct? We can leave on that note and talk about the expansion.
Well, we're expanding, as you know, mostly across the United States, and we do watch this um, globally. And who knows in the future where we'll end up. So yeah, it's always great to have conversations with our counterparts across the globe. Been interviewed by Italian media and other media, so it's always fun to learn how everyone's rolling this out a little differently, but similarly, what we can all learn from one another, right? What worked, what didn't work. Um, and so hopefully we just make the space more profitable and safer for everyone, and more efficient and effective to work in.
Well, thank you. Thank you again. On behalf of our community, I thank you personally. And, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with me today. I truly appreciate you and everything that you're doing. Again, everyone, please reach out to Melissa if you need assistance with banking in both the high risk entity space, but specifically the cannabinoid space as well. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you again in 4 weeks for another beautiful episode. Have a beautiful rest of the day, everyone. Take care.
Ever dreamed of hosting your own TV show, sharing your story with a global audience? Now's your chance to shine. At USA Global TV and Radio, we make it easy for you to create, host, and broadcast your very own TV show. Whether you're a storyteller, entrepreneur, or industry expert, we help you bring your vision to life. With our exclusive interview, live streaming, and podcasting training, you'll gain the skills and confidence to captivate your audience. Our global platform ensures your voice is heard worldwide. Join our community of creators who are already making an impact, one show at a time. Step into the spotlight. Host your own TV show on USA Global TV and Radio. Book your discovery call today at usaglobaltv.com. Copyright 2025 USA Global TV and Radio. All rights reserved. Terms and conditions apply. To learn more, visit usaglobaltv.com.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram-Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to tracycramperkins.com. Tracy Cram-Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
In a world craving connection, one platform dared to dream bigger. USA Global TV and Radio, a beacon for global voices, authentic storytelling, and elevated listening. Led by visionary Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck, the journey from a spark to a global force is now captured in one inspiring book. Honored with YouTube's Silver Creator Award for surpassing 100,000 subscribers. Discover the evolution, the challenges, the triumphs, and the unstoppable spirit that created a global movement. Executive producer Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang. Creative director Paul Garcia. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Now an Amazon #1 new release in paperback and ebook. Broadcasting Brilliance, the evolution of USA Global TV and Radio, is inspiring readers around the world. Join the movement that's redefining global media one story at a time.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honored to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dyes. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.